Thank you for staying with us. You're watching TV47 Prime, and we buckle down to a discussion with a panelist here where we want to thrash out a lot of issues regarding also what is happening in the currently in the country regarding political tolerance or intolerance for that matter, following the death of Rachel Wandeto. We're asking ourselves, where do we actually draw the line when it comes to expression of where our political standing is? Should we have also bugbears and fears to really unveil and expressly tell ourselves or each other where we stand as far as the political divide is concerned? The sanctity of life is very key. Human dignity is also part that is enshrined in our constitution as well. No man can or is allowed to take the life of another anyhowly. And what we witnessed, and we just ran a story by you earlier, on the agitation now for justice for Rachel Wandeto. Where is the country at? Is this now the high flashpoint that we should be discussing? We can see also new commissioners at the NCIC have been sworn in today. And how can we just gauge the pulse, the tenor, tone and tenor of the political climate in the country moving forward, just as we can see days are peeling off the calendar towards the general election 2027. Allow me to just introduce Bernard Kituru, who is a member of parliament, Kitui, not Kitui Central, I want to say Kitui Central, this is Bakalemulu, but this is Nandi Hills. And also we have with us Senator Okongo Omogeni, who's a senator of Nyamira County. Good to see you, Bernard.
Good to see you.
Right, he's also the chair of the Constitutional Implementation Oversight Committee, and we just begin from where things are at right now, especially in regard to, you know, the loss of life of Rachel Wandeto. It has been disheartening many people, and just gauging the political climate of the country as it stands right now. What does it portend for the future, from your assessment?
It's extremely sad to lose a life on account of political support or political affiliation, or on account of the fact that I have a belief system. If I believe in an agenda of a particular candidate, and in my support, there are various ways that people can show support. You can show support maybe on account of, you know, as you have debates and discussions, you are aligned to a particular candidate to the extent that probably you even, you know, in your expressions, the best way you express yourself is probably even tattooing yourself. It is your wish that, you know, in support of an individual. And therefore, for others to believe that their belief system is better than others, your political affiliation is better than the others, I think it's quite unfortunate. And this, I think, is on account of the political intonations that have been built by certain leaders in our country who continue to indoctrinate, you know, young people or supporters towards a position of intolerance that then has gone to the extent of even taking a life of Rachel Wandeto. It is unfortunate. I really stand with the family of Wandeto, Rachel, and the relatives and the community that lost that wonderful lady. I really mourn the loss of that lady, and I really pity those who did that heinous act. The other day, I had the chance to visit several prisons across the country.
Yes.
If in an event, and of those individuals who will find themselves behind bars for probably 30, 40, 50 years, or life sentences, and they're very young people, by the time you're in your second year, you come to your senses and realize it was not worth after all. Lastly, when I looked at politics of Kenya, there was one leader once said, don't keep these things in your lungs. I look at what happened in 2022. When we had particular political formations, who knew that we would end up having, for instance, broad-based government right now? So sometimes, as it were, and all the young people and Kenyans who are watching me this evening, I think for politics, let's take a position based on values or an agenda of a leader. To that extent, let's maintain peace. This is our country. You do not need to take a life of an individual on account of their belief system, of their political alienations or formation.
Right, and Okongo Omogeni, she seems to be lost in the shuffle, of course, with the clamor of the the fuel strike that we saw, the protests that were ongoing, that story did not really gain much prominence as it stands. But, you know, it is just an epitome of where the country is right now. I don't know from your own assessment, if you can just give it an accurate appraisement as far as the tolerance is concerned, all the intolerance is concerned in the country, with a political heightened rhetoric that we get from, you know, especially from the united opposition every day. Are we exacerbating the situation and building up a powder keg that is waiting to explode?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought you'll first congratulate me.
I congratulated you there, the Arsenal fan.
Tell my viewers I'm relaxed now that we have won the Premier League.
Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you, thank you. We finally made it.
You finally?
We can now
so how did you celebrate it yourself?
Well, I was not in any public place where I would take videos with those who support Arsenal, but
so how do we know you're an
I did my own quiet celebration with my daughter, who is a very strong Arsenal support. It was tense. It was a tense last extra 6 minutes, but we persevered and we made it. So Arsenal, bravo, you are the champions 2025.
So we hope you are. You won't lose it for the next also 20 years. You can keep it.
No. We want to have it back to back. We want to have it back to back. 2026, 2027, it should be Arsenal again. Yeah, but that was really lovely. It's been a long wait. The last time I saw Arsenal win this championship, I was a council member at Law Society of Kenya. And my chairman then was Ahmed Nasir Abdullahi. And he was also a very, very passionate supporter of Arsenal. You can imagine that lad of about 22 years. It's been a long wait. Yeah, but that was really entertaining football for Bournemouth yesterday, and it also demonstrates that you don't need just to buy expensive players. It's about building a team of
nurturing,
passionate, young, talented players, and that is it. Talent won, not experience, not how expensive a player is. So that was good for football, and I really hope they can also win the Champions League when they meet PSG on 30th of May.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
So too soon to lose it.
Coming back to what happened to Wandeto first, my sincere condolences to the family. We shouldn't see a life of any Kenyan lost on account of political differences. We can agree to disagree. You know, we can have serious arguments with my colleague here, Kitur, but when we walk out, we should be able to shake hands and have a cup of tea. My training as a lawyer, I was taught by my constitutional teacher, Kivuda Kibwana, that the cardinal rule for lawyers is that everything that you say in court remains for the court. When you walk out of the courtroom, you're all friends. In fact, when we started practice, we used to have, very emotional arguments in court. But when we walk out, we had a tradition of going and sitting down and having a cup of coffee.
Yes.
If you watch debates in the House of Commons, I like watching the Prime Minister's question time. You see how combative members of House of Commons are, but they never take that personal. We can have parties that we support passionately, and our supporters should support our political parties passionately, but we should not turn, that support to the extent where we want to become violent. I condemned what I saw happen to Senator Ososi in Kisumu, because that was an act of intolerance, and I condemn what happened to Singer Wandeto. That should not be allowed to happen in a democracy. You know, our constitution is really strong on fundamental freedoms and rights. And one of them is the right to express yourself. I mean, that's why you see people who support particular parties can wear a cape written UDA, can wear a t-shirt written Jubilee. You can see a border person with a jacket written maybe KANU. But that doesn't mean that if I find that guy in a bus stop, I shouldn't board that border because I don't like KANU. In fact, I should board the border and engage in a conversation, even try to persuade him to shift to my political party. That's how we should run our politics. We should not take it to a level where we turn it to be violent. But again, really we as politicians must lead from the front. We shouldn't make, our political divide in parliament to draw a line. Is in like, if you belong to this side, then you will receive hatred from this side. We should remember, we are Kenyans, Dibal. At the end of the day, every evening we retire. We retire as Kenyans. And Kituru is a member of National Assembly, I'm a member of Senate. But a time will come when I will either be former senator, former member of parliament, or late. But our children will remain.
Indeed.
Who knows? Tomorrow, Kituru's, Kituru's a bit younger, somebody else who is at my age, could come to my house and say, I've come here to make a big announcement that my son is courting your daughter. And I will be happy if that person is from Muda and I'm from either ODM or Jubilee, whichever political party I belong, because that's how we build, tolerance within our politics. And that's how it should be. We know out there are families where you'll find that the wife is a Republican, the husband is a Democrat, but they don't butcher each other in the evening because they belong to different political parties. That is the culture that we should build. And I think Dibal, even when you tell us that this particular region is a stronghold of this political party, that should not mean that I cannot go to that part of the country and sell my political party. I should be allowed to go there, sell the ideals of my political parties, of course using a language that is civil, and then I'm allowed to go because it's about trying to convince. Why do we do campaigns? You do campaigns because you go to regions to talk to people, sell your policies, try to criticize in a very fair way the government in power, and offer yourself as an alternative. In that arena, there should not be room for us to butcher each other. If we get there, then we have lost it as a country. Yeah.
Right, and of course we can see one of the ticklish issues that sometimes bring this intolerance is the issue of the finance bill. And we can see one of the party leader of the Jubilee Party, which I can see lately you're really gravitating to. Maybe we'll get this announcement sooner. The Jubilee Party crossover from Congo Mogini. Yeah, he started, telling Kenyans, don't reject the finance bill 2026. Is on record here. And earlier on, we were just interviewing also the CS of Treasury and Economic Planning. That is John Badi, who was very categorical that, we should be responsible, you as leaders, especially if you're taking special umbrage with some provisions of the finance bill. Spell them out. Tell Kenyans this is what we're not really happy to, but not just a whole stock and a barrel of the entire finance bill, and you just say, reject it in totality. I don't know what will be your comment. That in also promoting intolerance as well.
What are you saying, Dibal? You want to tell me that if I express views here tonight, that Kenyans should reject a finance bill, that's an act of intolerance?
No. The question is, why in its entirety? Because what also the CS is saying, can you pick up some of the provisions that you're not really happy? Some of the provisions that don't really make any lick of sense to you, right? For you to get clarity so that, you can tell Kenyans this particular aspect of the finance bill, we are not really happy with, and we need it to be amended. And that's why we're having public participation. But if you stand on the podium and you tell Kenyans, reject it in its entirety, are you also taking us back? You have
not answered my question. What is wrong if a Kenyan expresses the view that the finance bill should be rejected? Where is the intolerance?
Maybe I need to
give rhyme and reasons why we should Reject it.
Yeah, but don't tell us that that is intolerance.
Wait a minute.
That's not. I mean,
okay.
with tremendous respect.
Yes, please.
You know, where we are going through as a country, this season we are in, where the fuel prices have hit the roof. I mean, I've been in this country long enough to say that I've not seen any government that has increased the price of fuel on one day by 53 shillings. I've never seen it. Now, I think where Dr. Matiang'i is coming from is that a finance bill that is being churned out at this time should be providing some, what can I say, some relief to Kenyans, okay? Telling them that we are going through this hardship contributed to by the war in Iran, which we have no control over, but being sensitive to Kenyans and telling them, because of what we are going through, because the price of fuel has shot up by, I think in a few weeks, shot up by more than 64 shillings, we are going to reduce the following taxes to cushion you. And this is happening in many jurisdictions, including countries where people earn, you know, their earnings.
Mention those countries.
Okay, let me give you an example like Australia. Do you know the lowest earning worker in Australia? How much do they earn per month? It's close to 8,000. But Australia has announced measures to reduce their excise duty on fuel because they want to control the prices. And the highest they are selling their petrol per liter is $1.80, an equivalent of 180 shillings. Dibal, VAT contributes to the food prices, okay? In many countries, like let's pick Singapore, because we're being told we're being taken to Singapore. The goods and services tax in Singapore is 9%. In Australia, it is 10%. Because the country wants to address the issue of having a happy population that can afford food and put food on the table. Now, have you seen anything in the finance bill that is trying to respond to the hardships that Kenyans are facing? Instead, you know, Kenyans who bought the so-called affordable housing are going to be hit by an increase in rental tax from 7.5% to 10%. Okay, you have already been taxed housing levy 1.5% to contribute towards building of houses. Once you buy the house, the government is saying we now need to move in and tax you from the money you're going to make from this housing. It's moving from 7.5 to 10%. Okay, now mitumba, the mitumba clothes that we get into the country.
Right,
we are getting an increase on tax. Our phones.
I think you've given enough time.
Yeah, yes.
And he's talking a lot of...
the CS was very categorical on how also the phones, the excess duty has been taken now.
M-Pesa is going to go up.
I think...
so you want to tell me...
I think...
You want to tell me as...
Dibal.
Yeah.
I think you also need to give me... He's spoken long and talking a lot of untruths, which needs to be rectified
which I'm giving you the time right now.
Yeah,
you know, you were teaching us about intolerance. So
no, speaking all through, talking a lot of untruths, and I'm just listening.
Even if what I'm saying threatens his
go ahead.
But we wanted to qualify this because I had the CS
the chances of winning a re-election 2027, let me relax. Breathe in and out.
Okay.
Yes.
Honorable Kituru, maybe you want to countermand what you're saying.
First of all, before I lose my thoughts on the issue of Rachel Andeto, it's quite sad that I saw some, activists and persons around that space going to they were somewhere in Langata visiting a particular officer, I think a police officer who I think they said that he was to be taken to court. Apparently that was not the case, but there was no one amongst the civil society whom had speak against this issue of Rachel Andeto. I want to thank the President of the Republic of Kenya, who it's also quite interesting that he actually got one of the highest honors in Kazakhstan, the highest honor of Dostik. Though he was abroad, he was able to also share his sentiments and...
that is a presidential order of Dostik.
Correct. I think it's something worth actually mentioning that the President of Kenya, William Ruto, has always been excellent in most of the things that he does, even to the point that he got those honors. But despite the fact that he was abroad, he was able to also, through the mediums, be able to also express his concern and sympathies to the family and condolences to the family of Rachel Wandeto, which I think was a great show of statesmanship. When we come back now to the conversation that is ongoing, of course, when you're talking about Rachel Wandeto, we really, I still say, even personally, in the leadership, I want to thank the leadership. I saw that the Minister of Interior and several members of Parliament have expressed concern on this, and as it were, the divide that is now being built, even when you're talking about the strike that happened on this fuel crisis issue, it was almost tending towards a political divide of a particular orientation, which I think is quite unfortunate. But when I talked about the truths that I had Senator Morgan talking about, he spoke, he tried, and I asked him, justify some of the discussions you're talking about. He tried to talk about Australia. I was trying to just see online, because these days the beauty is when you talk of some information, we can be able to verify here. When you look at fuel in Australia, it's 217.84 equivalent Kenya shillings. So when you try to say that, fuel in Australia is much cheaper, of course I wanted to even justify and say, we do not know whether they have their own fuel within their own countries, because America, which is a net importer of fuel, even right now as we speak, is also facing spike in terms of the price of fuel. In Kenya, first of all, let us appreciate the decision by the President of Kenya in the earlier instance to go into G2G arrangement, where despite the fact that we have a slight increase in terms of the price of fuel, we do not have a shortage. We do not have a shortage of supply in Kenya. I was a few minutes ago with a friend of mine from Malawi, where previously they had come to Kenya to benchmark and engage the President of the Republic of Kenya. By the way, in this region, President William Ruto is sought after on some guidance on critical issues like the issue of fuel. And so the government before the one that is right now in Malawi came and learned about the issue of G2G. And so they were secured in terms of the supply. But recently now, when the other government came, they decided to go to the market where we used to be before as a country. Right now, the fuel in Malawi is 589 shillings per liter. And there is no fuel. There is a shortage. Just as also countries around us, we know of a country just close by where you have to take 30 liters. There is shortage on those that did not go into the arrangement that President William Ruto, in his wisdom and knowledgeability, engaged earlier on when we got into leadership. So sometimes we need to appreciate the effort that the government is doing. And by the way, when you look at the global increase in terms of the prices, it is at a range of between 76 to 80%. But when you come to Kenya, the increase, because of the interventions that the government has been able to put in place, like for instance, reducing the VAT from 16% to 8%. We have lost about 12 billion, but in terms of the revenue the government would have been able to collect. Of course, that means now we have to also have a trade-off on one way or the other on what needs to be done on that side. That was actually to reduce the cost of the cost of fuel in our country. Two was the issue of the use of the PDL, Petroleum Development Levy, to subsidize in the first month, and that was a quick succession that was done. Immediately, the prices spiked. There was utilization of about 6.2 billion shillings. Last month followed by another 5 billion, and I'm being told this month actually we'll be having another 5 billion being used to reduce the prices.
The subsidy.
Those are in subsidies. So those are the quick interventions that was done by government. But so I wanted to ask also my colleague, Senator Morgan, whom I respect tremendously, that also when he speaks, let him also speak with some facts. But finally, when you talked about, if you're talking about the leader of Jubilee, the former minister.
Yeah, we want to take a short break. You can just finish your details.
Yeah. And I heard him speaking a few minutes ago. And exactly, he just says, reject the finance bill. Reject what in the finance bill? He says, let's reject it in entirety. I would have expected Matiang'i, at least with some knowledgeability, when he faces the camera, to say, these are the provisions that we don't want, this and this and this. Besides, it has not been tabled per se, so that now it can go into the deep conversations. But anybody who comes to speak, please come and say, on the provisions, this is what we don't like, and this, because don't forget that government also has to collect taxes to be able to run its affairs. The economy keeps expanding, the expenses keeps on growing, and therefore we need to expand our tax base. But that not belabored, I think even in the last year, it was one of the most minimal expansion, if it were, that we were able to tax.
All right, we take a short break on that particular note, but when we circle back also, I want just to know what is maybe the remedial measure that we have in ensuing months, because also we have announcement from the Saudi Aramco, which is part of the suppliers of a G2G arrangement with the government. They're saying that there is a materially depletion of the offshore inventories that now we are actually relying on, and that is going to adversely also affect the supply. So even with the band-aid solution that we do have right now, it seems also in the foreseeable future, or the months that which are coming, we are going to actually see a rising spike of fuel again, and fuel prices as it stands. So we need to settle it right now. No, since they've made this announcement, this is Amin Nasser, who is the CEO of Saudi Aramco, making this pronouncement that in the next few months we shall see the depletion of onshore inventories, and we as a country, we are going to be adversely affected. We take a short break. When we circle back with that, of course, we'll want to hear also from our panelists what will be the remedial measure, the zero rating also of a fuel levy as it stands right now. That is a debate that Parliament, with your resumption, maybe should also consider. We take a short break.
Safaricom Chapa Dimba is back. Season 5. Bigger, louder, unstoppable.
Safaricom is on the hunt for the next big footballing sensation. Register your team. Visit chapadimba.safaricom.co.ke and you too can be the next football star. Cheza kama wewe.
In a world full of noise, there is a sound that speaks to the soul. Welcome to Ire Vibes, where roots reggae carries the message and music becomes a voice for the people.
No man them full looking and pretty.
Hosted by Cartella Macy, guided by the wisdom of sound, with Selector Henrique and DJ Wiz, selecting tunes that uplift, inspire, and unite.
Great Jamaicans, boy.
And respected high-caliber guests sharing light, culture, and purpose.
The levity of the Rastafari.
Tune in, hold the vibration, and keep the message alive.
Great Jamaicans, boy.
Ire Vibes, Fridays, 10:30 p.m.
Great Jamaicans, boy.
No matter who you are or how you play, only emotions count. This is your moment, your move, your success formula. Bets for everyone. Reveal yourself. 1xBet.
Football fans, the world stops from the 11th of June to the 19th of July 2026. Watch all 104 FIFA World Cup football matches live on Azam TV. Get your Azam TV decoder today for 1,000 shillings for a decoder only, or 2,500 shillings for a decoder and a dish, and enjoy unmissable football action from the comfort of your home. Visit any Azam TV authorized dealers countrywide today or call us on 0709 844 000. Azam TV, the official broadcast partner of the FIFA World Cup 2026.
Do you know what's inside that prepackaged food? Those unhealthy ultra-processed foods high in sugar, salt, or unhealthy fats can lead to diseases.
According to the Ministry of Health, approximately 39% of all deaths in Kenya are as a result of non-communicable diseases such as obesity, diabetes, cancer, and high blood pressure. The foods and drinks we consume every day can affect our health more than we realize.
Clear information on packages about what's in our food can help us have a healthy diet. From the Food Policy Coalition Kenya.
Face the future with confidence by acquiring additional skills that will make you competitive in the job market. Enhance your skills by undertaking professional short courses at Mount Kenya University's Center for Professional Development. These programs include Certified Human Resource Professional, Certified Public Accounts, Certified Associate in Project Management, Certified Procurement and Supply Professional, Certified Forensic Fraud Examiner, Chartered Institute for Securities and Investment, Cisco Networking, Cloud and Cybersecurity Solutions, Certified Investment and Financial Analyst. Application is through admission.mku.ac.ke or reach us on 0709 153 195 or 0709 153 194. Mount Kenya University, unlocking infinite possibilities.
Morning routines, daily hustle. But there's always time for the game. Some go by instinct, others run the numbers. Some live for the thrill, some play chill. No matter who you are or how you play, only emotions count. This is your moment, your move, your success formula. That's for everyone. Reveal yourself. 1xBet.
Welcome back. So the CEO of Saudi Aramco has made that pronouncement that the offshore reserves have materially depleted, and in the next few months there is going to be a short supply of fuel. And we do know that Saudi Aramco is one of the government contractors on the G2G arrangement and one of the largest supply of crude oil also in the world as it stands. So this is the question I was just bringing to bear moments before we took a short break, and I want just to put it to you so far. Yes, we have all these band-aid solutions, I should say, that the government has indicated right now. But what is the remedial measure to come and buffer this particular pronouncement that we do have? Because it seems then we'll just be circling back to the same situation that we were in on Monday.
I thought it was my turn.
It was your turn? Yeah, okay.
I thought
all right.
I like the way he's really defending.
But he really hogged a lot of time as well, so I thought I was just fair.
See,
right? Yes.
Well, it's good. I've heard my colleague tell the country that the president has got some highest honors awarded to him in Kazakhstan. That's fine.
Congratulate him.
It's okay. But Kenyans don't care about honors.
Oh, come on.
What is of concern to Kenyans is how do they put food on the table? How do you cushion them against the hardships they are facing because of high fuel prices? And let me remind my friend that many presidents have served one term because of ignoring hardships that the people are facing. You can Google why President Chakwera lost elections in Malawi after one term. It's because of high cost of living, corruption, unemployment within society. This idea of going out of the country when people are suffering is actually very insensitive. You cannot be telling Kenyans you are getting honors when your people are demonstrating, they are being shot, dying in the streets. I saw it in 2019 in Australia when Scott Morrison went to Miami, and the fire was killing people in Australia. And they told him, you can as well live there. He lost his elections. So the president should be sensitive. What is difficult in him cutting short his trip and coming back home to address the challenges that we are facing as a country? Because this is not a small crisis. And then they get the diagnosis wrong. He's telling us that the strike is being, funded by politicians.
No, you're putting...
Or it's taking a political tone.
You're putting words.
Dibal, the reality is that Kenyans are infuriated by this idea of fuel costing 254 shillings a litre. And the people are annoyed at the transporters and owners, matatu owners. They're the ones who are feeling the pinch. Because they have put the figures on the table and they say we cannot make ends meet, Dibal. And the world all over, when you have a crisis, when your country is facing droughts, you don't raise up your hands and say, I'm not the one who brought drought. You look for intervening measures. That's what happens. Including, in fact, we even expect the government to give food subsidies to Kenyans. Because when there is a crisis, the expectation of Kenyans is that the government that is in office is sensible enough to say, as we plan, we'll spare money for any eventualities like what we are facing now. But as all this is happening, you are telling us that it is business as usual. It cannot. And I'm telling you, even where you come from in Nandi, you'll be shocked that you're not speaking for people of Nandi. If you don't champion the difficulties the people of Nandi are facing, you are not speaking for them. You're actually speaking to yourself.
Yeah,
because Mheshimiwa, when you tell us that expenses are ballooning so you cannot address the issues of taxation, so you're throwing up your hands and saying the petrol can eat 300 shillings.
I defer.
We as a government will do nothing.
I defer.
The first solution should be the government should sit down. What have the transporters offered? They have told the government, reduce the taxes on fuel. You have compared the price between Kenya and Australia. Australia has better earning capacity, but even if I go by his figures, exchange rate of 217, it still means
that he lied.
No.
You are not truthful.
It's 1.90 in AUD. And I don't argue with his conversion. Let's assume his conversion is right. It's 217 shillings. Still,
with the Australian dollars, okay.
And you're charging somebody 217 who is earning in a month 800,000 shillings. Now in Kenya, you want to charge a Kenyan 253 shillings, and an ECD teacher is earning a salary of 12,500. How insensible can such a government be? Because you cannot compare. You tell us this is the price in Australia, whereas the earning power of that jurisdiction is higher than ours. You first must begin as a government by saying, look, what is the earning power of the people I lead as a president? You look and you say the average salary of Kenyans is about 35,000 shillings. Now, is it reasonable from you as a government to allow the petrol at the pump to be at 253 shillings? It's not. So what I would have expected from this government is to tell us the way when COVID came, what did Uhuru Kenyatta do? Uhuru Kenyatta said, I'll set money aside to go and build hospitals. He said, county government, let's have a meeting. I don't want you to charge licenses. The government withdrew license fees, okay? Then Parliament reconvened and said, let's reduce taxes. Taxes were reduced. So when a crisis like this has happened, I expected my friend who is from the government side to tell us, we are convening as Parliament. These are the tax measures we are going to make to reduce the fuel price at the pump.
They should have been recalled from recess.
Yes, to 200 shillings and below. Then the people of Nandi will clap and say, yes, our MP is doing something. But if you come to the show and say, one of the options we have is to do nothing.
No. That is putting the words in my mouth.
So tell us now what you are going to do to reduce this price.
First of all, I want to thank my colleague Senator for accepting the fact that the chief diplomat of our country, President William Ruto, has continued to still raise the flag of our nation globally. In fact, to the extent a couple of weeks ago, I think last week, we had the Africa Forward Summit, where President William Ruto was also actually championed for it to have been here in Kenya. You can imagine the amount of business, the amount of foreign exchange, the amount of work that Kenya got on account of that. And of course, talking about the agreements that were written that would bolster the businesses. Like I saw also even the tea farmers, the tea space, the opening of business for us to be able to export to quality tea to France, and so many other things that we can talk about. The reason why, even when the president had gone to Kazakhstan for the official visit that had already been pre-planned, on the aspect of talking that the president should have left everything that he was doing there to come and handle fuel crisis, the president has a solid team back here in Kenya.
A solid team that we saw also,
Yes.
the CS, saying we are waiting for the president to come and address this particular issue.
A solid team that was able to engage, because it's a government that engages. And by the way, when you talk about the issue of fuel, when you talk about the issue of taxes, it is all plain for all of us to be able to see. Isn't that not true? The taxes that you're talking about, it's an engagement. I did mention,
but we need to engage and ask. No, let me ask a critical question, because also we had the president
I had a flow of thought,
giving a sanction that we have inter-ministerial, meeting, where now we had this particular pronouncement yesterday from the Energy CS and the Ministry of Transport as well, and the Ministry of Interior. Did they have to wait for the president now to make this particular call? If you're talking about competent leaders, because we had also the CS saying we are still waiting for the president to be back home so that we may have the way forward. And he had made the announcement, just a moment, he made the announcement that, come next month, there's not going to be any revision of the prices until, we are talking about June the 14th, where now EPRA will make a new pronouncement of the fuel. So is the government also insensitive to the needs of, is the center really speaking to the periphery? That's the question I should ask.
Dibao, I did mention that at the initial time where the price spike, the government acted so swiftly in, one, reducing the taxes from 16% to 8%. That is fact, and all of us appreciate that. Isn't that not so? Secondly, was to now open up onto the subsidy, because I had Senator Omogen here talking as if there is nothing that was being done by government. Of the 17 billion shillings that was there for the subsidy, they expended 6.2 billion to be able to subsidize, particularly on the aspect of diesel, which is the one that drives not only the economy, all the manufacturing industries, the electricity here, because there is also thermal electricity that is provided by the use of diesel. All our vehicles, the large vehicles that are moving around this town. And so those were the initiatives the government did. In the second month, they have also again used another 5 billion. Now, when you come and say that, I wanted to discount the fact that the president did not need to leave a very important engagement that he was having.
He must get there.
He has been, and definitely you would expect the president to also be following up and engaging the leaders back home to make sure that everything is stabilized. When I spoke about the aspect of Kenyans having gone on strike, which I agree, even myself, I'm a businessman, I have also have to think about the adjustment of prices of my services to my clients, which of course is unsettling. But this is a global issue. It is not a matter that is only affecting Kenya. All right? And Kenya has made great strides. If you hear what other countries are going through, within regional, just within, it is even worse off. And finally, the other day, we were discussing and saying, if we are now to take away the 8%, then we need to create a trade-off. Are you willing then that we do not repair the roads? Like in my case, I come from a constituency that just recently, there have been a lot of rains. It's a productive country. It's an agricultural place. 70% of my constituency, we grow tea. So does it mean that now the roads will not be passable in my constituency on account of the fact that temporarily we are addressing the issue of fuel? What happens in the long term to the lives, the ripple effect is going to be created if those roads are not being made. So I think we need to look at it also. The other day we were saying the taxation that we have all goes into the one basket of, say, for instance, the capitation in schools and the various other things. I said the government does not do business. It collects taxes to be able to run its affairs. And therefore, even as we look at the trade-off, and I'm sure that is the conversation we say, the industry leaders, please come on the table, plus the leaders of our country, the CS for roads the other day, I saw him, the CS Energy, and of course the following day came in Murkomen and the rest, to engage with the industry leaders on a table of a conversation. And I want to thank those leaders because they take the bold step, unlike the hardline positions the opposition is taking, to say, okay, we understand the situation, let's give ourselves 1 week, we still look at which are the other options that are available for us to be able to pursue because this is a crisis that's affecting us. But I repeat, it is not us alone. It's across the globe.
All right.
But tomorrow, should there be no war, by the way, tomorrow, should the war just cease tomorrow? You know, we are back.
All right. So we had the issue of the subsidy, that when we had the current administration also checking in, they raised the question of how unsustainable this fuel subsidy is.
Indeed, it's not.
Now we are rolling back to this fuel subsidy, right, as a financial instrument and device to try and cushion Kenyans. Don't you think if we had this fuel subsidy from the beginning, all right, owing to the fact that, we have all these externalities sometimes, as they say, ceteris paribus, not everything is constant, or everything remaining constant just for cushioning of Kenyans ahead, because you never know. We should still have maintained the fuel subsidy. Why was it expensive then? Now you're using the same tool.
Dibal,
I'm being asked the question, not you, Senator. The question was coming my way, but he wants to steal that. You see, Dibal.
Let me be fair to him and just pose a question to him, yes,
right.
as you ponder over it.
Yeah, Dibal, you remember.
Yes.
In fact, President Ruto, then as a deputy president, is the one who gave us a comparison between the cost of fuel in Uganda and Kenya. And he reminded us, not once, but many times, even including my colleague whom we are with in the Senate. I remember up to even the suit he was wearing in the Senate. When he told us this idea of saying this is a global problem is an excuse. We want solutions from President Kenyatta. And we also want to tell President Ruto today, hashtag receive the awards but reduce the price of fuel. We don't eat those awards, I must tell you, Honorable Kitur. What we want is to see the price of fuel reduced. That's the solution we are seeking for. I don't mind. No.
Wasn't that just a solutionary gesture that is coming from...
It's okay.
You did not go there.
It's okay. Hashtag receive the awards but reduce the price of petrol and diesel. That's what is affecting Kenyans now, Dibal. You cannot tell us that, we will not repair roads. Dibal, they have a solution. Stop the corruption in this government.
Come on now, look.
Stop it.
That is diversionary.
Stop it. Dibal, even ESCC is crying.
I thought you speak on the subsidy itself.
No, I'll go to the subsidy. But he said, what do they do? They are raising up their hands and saying, now what do we do? Stop the corruption. You read the story. Can you imagine? ESCC is telling us that they arrest thieves, take them to court, okay? And then in court, somebody instructs DPP to withdraw the charges against criminals.
Honestly.
Have you ever seen a country where an anti-corruption commission is telling the country that the government is coming up with a policy of saying the corrupt will get free? I mean, what a joke, really. How can you take Kenyans for granted in such a manner? Look at the budget National Assembly is giving to the president. And you are telling us that if we reduce taxes, what will happen? Go and reduce that tax. Why are you increasing the budget for the president by over 12 billion? Just because you want the president to address rallies in State House? You want the president to bring people there and pay them 5,000? Please, stop it. 3, Dibal. In a country where we are suffering, why are you hiring a private jet costing us 37 million shillings? Why? Those are the questions we're asking you. Why? We want a government that is responsible, that is sensitive to the suffering of Kenyans, Dibal. Issue of subsidy, Dibal. Even if it means that the government will put in 50 shilling subsidy on petrol, if that is the only solution to reduce the price, it has been done by past president Uhuru Muigai did it, and the price was stabilized, and the Kenyans were able to survive. If that is the route, Dibal, do it. After all, you remember history. The way Mheshimiwa is behaving is like, Marie Antoinette in France. Kenyans are suffering. They are telling us, my friend, we are choking. It's like Floyd is down, pressed on his neck. He can't breathe. You are telling them, no, you are bothered with small things. Our president is getting awards out there. Let's celebrate.
Really?
No.
Really? Is that the kind of talk that you are
No.
Yeah.
Dibal, the discussion we want now is a government acknowledging that Kenyans are suffering and telling us that we are going to work day and night to reduce this price to below 200. That will resonate to my people in Nyamira, to your people in Nandi Hills.
All right.
Now, how you do it?
I need to take a short break.
How you do it, Dibal?
Yeah.
How you do it?
On the other side of a break.
Dibal, how you do it? I want to
break?
give you a script. Just go to the page of Uhuru Kenyatta when there was COVID. He did not raise up his arms and say, what do you want me to do? I didn't create COVID. He looked at solution. I'm telling you that there was a committee that was even removing licenses. Can you imagine? No. At county level. So when this is happening, we also want to see a president that is consultative, a president that is forming teams that will look for solutions. Don't tell us, for now, please, Mheshimiwa.
Did we have the inter-ministerial team that was formed?
The one telling us that...
Yes.
The one telling us...
We had a pronouncement yesterday.
We wait for
allow us to take a short break.
And the strategy of our government is not the strategy of Uhuru Kenyatta.
Okay.
So, okay.
Yeah, we'll take a short break. When you circle back, of course, you should answer that question. And the question of a jet as well. I think we had this particular issue 2 years back, right? And question was, should we purchase a new jet for the presidency? Because the old one also was outdated. Yeah. So what would be the solution? Yeah. Should we hire or should we buy a new jet? We'll take a short break.
In a world full of noise, there is a sound that speaks to the soul. Welcome to Ire Vibes, where roots reggae carries the message and music becomes a voice for the people.
No man them full looking and pretty.
Hosted by Cartella Macy, guided by the wisdom of sound, with Selector Henrique and DJ Wiz, selecting tunes that uplift, inspire, and unite.
Great Jamaicans, boy.
And respected high-caliber guests sharing light, culture, and purpose.
It's the levity of the Rastafari.
Tune in, hold the vibration, and keep the message alive.
Great Jamaicans, boy.
Ire Vibes, Fridays, 10:30 p.m.
No matter who you are or how you play, only emotions count. This is your moment, your move, your success formula. Bets for everyone. Reveal yourself. 1xBet.
Face the future with confidence by acquiring additional skills that will make you competitive in the job market. Enhance your skills by undertaking professional short courses at Mount Kenya University's Center for Professional Development. These programs include Certified Human Resource Professional, Certified Public Accounts, Certified Associate in Project Management, Certified Procurement and Supply Professional, Certified Forensic Fraud Examiner, Chartered Institute for Securities and Investment, Cisco Networking, Cloud and Cybersecurity Solutions, Certified Investment and Financial Analyst. Application is through admission.mku.ac.ke or reach us on 0709 153 195 or 0709 153 194. Mount Kenya University, unlocking infinite possibilities.
Azam TV, your favorite pay TV, just got even better. Effective 1st March 2026, we have added 5 amazing new TV channels to keep you entertained day and night. AMC Movies and Nolly Africa for the best of Nollywood movies and series. Music Box Hits and Music Box Dance for non-stop music hits and dance. And Manchester United TV for football fans. More movies, more music, more sports, all in one place.
Morning routines, daily hustle. But there's always time for the game. Some go by instinct. Others run the numbers. Some live for the thrill. Some play chill. No matter who you are or how you play, only emotions count. This is your moment, your move, your success formula. Bets for everyone. Reveal yourself. 1xBet.
All right, it's time to, of course, continue our pace with the conversation at the tail end of the program, holding court with Bernard Kitur, who is the chair of Constitution Implementation Oversight Committee in the National Assembly, also a member of Parliament, Nandi Hills, and also Senator Okongo Omogeni, who is the senator of Nyamira County. Right.
Yeah.
Had I interjected
Yes.
while you're still speaking?
Yes. First of all, I'm really perturbed by my senator, in whom I have deep respect for, that during the conversation, because he's not able to sustain a consistent, well thought out discussion, he keeps flip-flopping and now jumping into an aspect of talking about independent institutions in our country, like EACC, you know, about the judiciary, which we know are independent institutions from the executive, saying that there is corruption there, that EACC, whether they have reached out to him to tell him that they are being forced to release people who are corrupt, and, you know, playing around that gallery. And I wanted to tell my senior here that with all due respect, because these are also institutions that appear before my committee, it is extremely wrong to indict if you don't have any evidence or throw words just out there on a serious crisis that is happening in our country and just try and say that, well, if we manage corruption, then the prices of fuel would have gone, you know, would have gone down. I think I would have expected him to be a bit better in how he's arguing his things. Number two, talking that you should have subsidized fuel by 50 shillings. I want to let the senator know that this is the most transparent government. The CS for Treasury has appeared and said the amount that we've been collecting, which is 5 shillings and 40 cents per every liter of diesel and petrol, and of course I think the kerosene is between 0.4 to 4.4, something like that, shillings, as the BDL, Petroleum Development Levy, which then is the money that is a cushion that has now been expended. And you see, you cannot expend it at one go, because we do not know for how long this war is going to be sustained. And therefore, in the initial month, as I indicated earlier, that besides reining on the VAT, which President William Ruto and the government did almost immediately because of being sensitive to its citizenry and the suffering of the people, and then of course to control the inflation. We also touched on about 6.2 billion shillings to be able to reduce the cost of diesel and petrol. The same thing has happened also the second month. And the third, you've also mentioned that we do not know for how long this war is going to go. I did indicate, Dibao, that as we have this discussion, let us also look upon regionally and globally. I told you the prices of fuel has risen up to 76%. You can Google it online. Globally, that is the rise in terms of the fuel prices. But in Kenya, it has been managed ranging between 36 to almost 40% thereabout in terms of the price rise. What does that tell you? It tells you the government, the Kenya Kwanza government, or the broad-based government, has done what it could best to be able to mitigate. In comparative to all the other countries, we are doing much better. I did indicate to you, and of course, you did mention the statement that was made by one of the contractors, and I indicated I think we have about 3 on the panel. But let us also appreciate the fact that we are able to manage supply. Finally, I was saying when we began the show, I had my colleague here celebrating, and it took almost 3 minutes or 5 minutes talking about Arsenal. When I talked about our chief diplomat, President William Ruto, who has continued to also represent our country globally, because we are in a global village. In every sphere and space, he has been able to lift the image of Kenya on the forefront. I was celebrating some of the things we need to appreciate about the leaders that we do have. And I don't know why he felt so iked When we was talking about Arsenal, I didn't, of course, I also am Arsenal fan, but I did not have to spend like 5 minutes on this critical show to talk about and celebrating and discussing how you are able to toss some bit of soda here and there when that happened. But what I was talking about is in every front, the government is trying at its best. Of course, some of the proposals that I've had also being floated about is, can we reduce the margins that the petrol station owners earn, and the pump stations, of course, looking at every category of the taxes that are being levied. And you see, we also have to look at it also, Dibal, because we are in a rock and a hard place. If we then go and manage the earnings of these petrol station attendants, are we being concerned also on their overheads? What are the things that happens behind the earnings of those who run the petrol stations? So I think this is a discussion that we need to also look at it globally, not just saying go slash this, slash that, slash the other. I said also we depend on these taxes. I do know that there are some that has been securitized. Some of our roads now are being made across the country, the roads that we all celebrate. Personally, I have a road called Himakinandi Hills Road that it's stalled for 23 years. Right? That is now ongoing. So can I sacrifice that road and say, okay, let that road remain, and then now we manage this bit? So it's a discussion, it's a collective conversation that we need to have as a country. Nonetheless, we will be back to Bunge on 26th, and I'm sure also this is something that will come
especially, yes.
the House,
Just to
and
come
I'll
back
be
here.
looking forward also
which orients my thought towards also the National Assembly regarding this particular issue, because there has been calls as well that can we take it down from 8% to zero rate it, so that we don't have any levy on fuel completely, at least for now, as a remedial measure.
What if Dibal, this then continues? What happens?
But
what if the prices?
But as a country, when was this levy actually installed? Wasn't it
2022.
In Uhuru's...
no.
Yeah.
When we came...
No. Of course, there was the 80. There was the 16%, you remember, with Uhuru's administration. I think there was a debate around it.
It was suspended.
It was suspended then, yeah? No, it was revised to 8.
Don't push Mheshimiwa too hard. We know how UDA works. You see, like now when you ask him about reduction of VAT, they have to be directed what to do.
Directed what? It's common knowledge.
They have to be called, and William Ruto will tell them, President William Ruto will tell them, go to Parliament, remove this tax.
No. President William Ruto, by the way, let me tell you, Dibal, those are stories. President William Ruto.
So what happens to the finance bill? They voted for it. Then when they went to State House, they sat there. When
we are talking about...
I've nullified that. They clapped and said, yes.
On account of issues that were happening at that time, isn't it?
And yet, the same Parliament.
President William Ruto Dibal is a president who likes engagement.
All right.
And so having a debate and discussion. It's very important for you to listen to that.
Yes.
That
give us your
even
ideas.
At the time, of course,
what I'm saying,
been able to put across.
You have been asking a question. Can that 8% be reduced so that it goes to zero?
That is a discussion that we need to have, because at the point in time that it was reduced by 8%, we have lost about 12 billion shillings, all right, in the window period of those 90 days. So we need now to look at it and say, which are those other sectors of the economy that we are willing then to suffer? Because definitely there's going to be a hole that must be filled. As I said, it could be, is it part of the capitation?
So there has to be an opportunity cost?
There's something.
Yes, okay. Let me ask, on this particular issue, and when we're talking about complementarity now of both houses, does it also concern the Senate as it stands in terms of debating around this? Because is it purely the function of the National Assembly?
These are bicameralism is totally skewed. These are very skewed bicameralism. In proper bicameral parliament, this should have been a discussion for the two houses.
Yes.
If you go to US, the Senate and the House of Representatives will address this issue jointly and agree. If you go to Australia, the same thing. In fact, even in the UK, where we have the House of Lords and they're not elected, it's a position of honor.
Yes.
You go to the House of Lords as an honor to serve, They get that opportunity. But in this country, somebody wanted, why you have a Senate?
Yes.
It's like a cooling house. Like if you pass some laws in haste and there's an uproar, by the time they're moving to the next house, you have gotten time to look at the public mood, the views, to reflect, and then you make it a smaller deliberative house. That's the design of Senate. You go to many countries, the Senate is much smaller than the House of Representatives.
So it's a house of sobriety, so
to speak. You know, you get time to reflect, and then the people who speak get more time. You get more airtime to make comment and debates on a matter that is weighty to the country. But I think the people went to Naivasha, butchered the Senate and reduced its powers because they had selfish interests. I think when we go back to conversation, we need to be very decisive. And you know, many countries that go through challenges come up with the solutions that address those concerns. Like the issue I was telling him about corruption. You know, ESCC came to us in Parliament, and we were asking them, we see you do investigations, we see headlines on people you take to court, and then at some point, these cases are withdrawn, and we see you quarreling with the DPP. And they said, you know, what we are told is that when the case goes to the DPP, there is political pressure. I think they have now withdrawn cases against 2 governors. I hope my friend reads newspapers. Some things I shouldn't even be you know, really exposing you to the public that you're not aware. Because as an elected member, if you take judicial notice of...
Why are you holding brief for him? He can speak for himself.
You know, because it looks so bad. If Mheshimiwa is portraying to the country that he has not read even a newspaper to understand
what do you mean by that?
2 cases have been on governors charged with corruption have been withdrawn, and the ESCC has made a protestation. In fact, when they appeared in the Senate, that matter was captured in the newspaper, in the media. And we do these conversations because we want a better country for all of us. You know, this issue of corruption is not a small issue. If you go to Japan, when you get your ballot in every election, the name of judges appear. So that if there is a judge who has been engaged in corruption, or the Japanese people have lost confidence, they vote for him to not to continue serving as a judge. Because issues of corruption are serious, Dibal. When I'm telling my friend that one of the solutions is to fight corruption, it's because the money that is lost through corruption, if we consolidate, we mop up that money and use it properly, we will actually reduce our taxation. You know, this country you call Singapore, they run their affairs through taxes. But what is their VAT? It's 9%. Okay? Corporate tax is 17%. Okay? Income tax, the maximum, 24%. But it is small but well utilized. If you steal money in Singapore, Mheshimiwa Kitur,
yes,
if you are caught up, you are a thief, whether you are a minister or whatever rank, you will go to jail. And that acts as a deterrent. So they have not
How much
made...
is fuel there?
Just a minute. They have not made the strides in development because they overtax their citizens. No, it's because they use their taxes well to provide services to their people. Do you know, just to demonstrate the appetite this government has on taxing Kenyans, Mheshimiwa, you come from a tea-growing region.
Yes.
And don't tell me you're not aware about this. You must know because you are the ones who passed this levy. Do you know that the government last month passed a levy to charge tea exports 0.8% levy? The only one in this region. It's not in Rwanda, it's not in Burundi, and it's making our tea to lose market out there. Okay? Are you aware about that, Mheshimiwa? So when you are treating your citizens like this, you are denying your people market. Our tea cannot be competitive out there because of our appetite for taxing Kenyans. We should step back, and I'm urging my colleagues, including Mheshimiwa Kitur, our members in the National Assembly, reflect and step back and say, is it true that we are overtaxing Kenyans? Because that's where the problem begins, Dibal. When you hear Kenyans cry, it's because Kenyans are borrowing to put food on the table. A report that was released last week indicates that Kenyans are fulizing 1.4 trillion shillings. That's like 40% of our annual budget. And they are doing fuliza to put food on the table, not to go and do investments, not to build homes or to open supermarkets and the likes. So really our taxation, in as much as the war in Iran is contributing to high fuel prices, we are also having an insatiable appetite on taxing Kenyans, which we should reduce. Some countries have only 2 taxes on fuel. Only 2. Here we have about 7, 8. Okay? So if this is contributing to high prices on our fuel, why can't we sit back and, as a country, and say this is too punitive to our people? And the National Assembly is there to make proposals. You propose a law, take it to the president, and say, we are reducing these taxes.
So we have 2 choices.
The reason why we are doing this, Dibal, is simple. We want to reduce the fuel cost at the pump from 253. Give yourself a target. From 253 to maybe 200 shillings. Look at the economy. I challenge you, Mheshimiwa. Look at the earning capacity of Kenyans. Is it reasonable to have fuel selling at 253 shillings?
So which actually makes more sense? Of course, we've talked about the 5 billion subsidy that we do have, but can we go the subsidy way, or can we reduce it now to 0 rating?
That is the conversation that I spoke about, Dibal, that if you want to 0 rate, then expect that you will be losing 24 billion. That's right. So which is that which you want to trade off? I see.
That was budget.
No, relax. I did mention that we have the in the fuel taxes. There is the RMLF. There is, or do we remove even the very subsidy that is also covered in the 5.4 shillings per litre, or do we go and remove the earnings of the petrol attendants, the petrol station owners? But whereas we have that conversation, there are some also untruths that I think Senator is being a bit sensational.
Which one is
when
this?
you are talking about Singapore, what he doesn't tell you is that fuel price in Singapore is at 580 shillings per litre. In as far as you would hear all the stories talking about the taxes and everything else, it is very expensive.
No, just a minute, have I lied on taxation?
No, what I'm telling you is you are not giving the entire truth. That when you are talking about the 9%, there are other dynamics. But also when you're looking at the conversation of the minute, we are discussing the issue of fuel. Fuel in Singapore is at 580 shillings per litre, equivalent if you compare to Kenya.
And is that the template of where the road to Singapore that we're leading to?
The challenges, of course.
Yeah. So this is the comparison we're making.
The challenges that came in as a result of the issue of fuel is mainly the aspect of freight and insurance. Because when the Strait of Hormuz, and all of us know, when there was a blockade, they have the choice of the longer routes, and then, of course, all this has to be insured. All the ships that carry fuel have to be insured. So the insurance prices spiked incredibly.
But we have the opposition. Just allow me to butt in, because the opposition says, this Strait of Hormuz argument does not really fly, because all these imports that we're having from Aramco, from UAE, does not go through this.
The conversation is simple.
So are we using the Strait of Hormuz as a stock as a fig leaf?
All the ships,
stock excuse,
right? By the time you are getting the prices, it is a combination of factors. It is for everybody to see, because that is open data that is available.
What combination of factors are we talking about?
That is the freight and the insurance.
But we're talking about the Strait of Hormuz. Does it go through the Strait of Hormuz?
Yes. Check on the map.
From Aramco,
there is we have three suppliers. We're talking about the Abu Dhabi, we are talking the UAE, and we are talking about the Aramco. That not belabored. The other conversation that was here that he mentioned is the bringing in the issue of independent institutions, which in my view, I still say an institution that says that they are being, taken around, being controlled, like EACC, in my view. The creation of EACC by the Constitution was to make it a commission that is independent enough. That is why they have their independent budget. And for an officer to come and claim that we are being controlled, or the ODPP, or the courts, the judiciary, all these institutions that were created by the Constitution with an intent that the executive must not be able to control them, then it begs the question on probably the suitability of those officers who are leading those institutions if they are being said that they are being controlled as an assertion that has been made by my colleague here. But that, even when you're talking about whether it's National Police Service Commission, all of these institutions, the National Police, is supposed to be independent institutions, that they are just supposed to be working with government, but not being controlled by government in deciding which cases are supposed, which cases being prosecuted, or EACC don't investigate this, EACC investigate this. I know my senior here told me that I don't read newspapers. I do, and of course I'm a bit concerned that then if there are institutions that are coming out there and claiming that we are not able to do our work on account of being controlled by a particular body, I think that is quite telling. Okay. But finally, on the issue of tea that he has mentioned, that in the process of this conversation, I still want to say tea is one of the biggest exporters at $1.3 billion. And if there is any tax that was introduced, because I do know I've been having a lot of conversation around tea in a bid to be able to reduce the taxes, and also so many inefficiencies around that space. It's something that affects all of us.
So you're not aware about the levy?
It's a concern that I think at the point in time, because I know there is also we have another law that I know is coming up again. I think it has been in Senate. It's also come into ourselves for the mediation. I think when that bill will come through, I didn't see in the initial one, but I know when it becomes, there are so many taxes that we have collapsed in the bill that we are now currently engaged on the issue of tea, because it is a concern also for me because I'm in that space. Bottom line is, this is a government that is extremely concerned on the plight of Kenyans, and I can tell you all these taxes we know, you and I know, we are in a rock and a hard place. Which one are we willing to let go? And how long is this war going to take? I want to also, I was really looking forward to hear some radical propositions from Senator, but all I can hear is just whining here, whining there. I don't hear any cogent issue and telling us how we did, and we are here, we have invited every actor. Let's all come to the table. We do not need to go on the streets. We can come on the table and we have a discussion. I finally repeat again, Debal, this is a government that listens to all its citizenry. And that is why I do not think, even in the time of Uhuru Kenyatta, I don't remember, if there's a time that you would find ministers coming together, sit down with all the actors. I did say it earlier that it's quite sad and telling that sometimes when you look at the way, even the way this civil unrest happened, whether it was not even anymore about protests, because it went violent. And the target, you would find that in particular sections of our country, they were targeting leaders aligned to government, banning their supermarkets. I have my colleague, Paul Biego, MMP for Jesumei. Well, they were in Naivasha. His vehicle was targeted amongst other vehicles that were there, I mean, you go single out. So it tells you that we are turning into that aspect of tolerance, and I would wish that we do not politicize the issue of fuel. Let us have a conversation. It affects all of us. It affects us globally. And I want to thank many Kenyans who have understood this, and that the government is willing to listen.
Right, thank you. We should be getting closing remarks from you.
If Mheshimiwa Kituru is speaking for this government, then I feel sorry for Kenyans, because this is a government that has got no solution at all to the problems that Kenyans are facing. I think that's why they are trending at 24% popularity. In simple terms, it's a government that should be voted out and be replaced by a government that cares about the plight of Kenyans. You cannot come here and tell us fuel in Singapore is 500.
I was just responding to him.
But the reality is, first of all, the lowest earning power of somebody in Singapore is about 560,000.
I was just responding to him.
Just imagine if a government is telling you, we are taking you to Singapore, where Singapore people are earning a salary of 560. That's somebody working as a waiter in a hotel, 560,000. And in Kenya, you are paying an ECD teacher 12,500. And charging fuel for the border, because they are using the borders. I want to break this down to the common mwananchi, and you are charging them 253. It means that border will increase the fare for that person. So you have a serious disconnect as a government. You are thinking about Singapore. Does not first of all address the reality on the ground. That start the ball by giving this Kenyan good salary. Before you take us to that Singapore, give us a good salary first as Kenyans. 2, tax us fairly. The way Singapore is taxing their people fairly. Then we can say we are on the road to Singapore. But I think the best thing I can say in a minute is that in many countries where you find a government like what we have seen this evening, that does not even resonate with the problems that Kenyans are facing, the best thing that we can do next year is to vote it out and bring on board a government that will care on the plight of Kenyans. A government that can see if there is a likelihood of petrol shooting up to a level that it will add so much pain to Kenyans, you put intervening measures to cushion Kenyans. But if we have this idea of coming here to lament and say, oh, this is contributed by the war in Iran, it's fine, this war. But what is your responsibility as a government? You exist to take care of the poor, with the poorest, the vulnerable, to ensure that you're not putting pain on Kenyans. That is your role as a government.
All right.
And if you want solutions,
if
you want a solution, we vote you out next year.
Closing remark.
We
All right, your closing remarks.
Let me give my closing remark.
30 seconds.
It is very sad if these are the kind of opposition leaders that we are thinking that we have. People who just want to throw words here and there, but nothing cogent that they can put across. I repeat it again. Anybody who should be going to the media in the near future, you want to talk about the finance bill, you want to talk about issues, please create solutions. Do not just whine throwing things here and there to create sympathy. But let's face facts, bring facts on the table. I think that would really suit us going into the future. But for that, if this is the way to go, I will tell you, Omogeni, prepare for another defeat and a serious one in 2027. Thank you.
All right.
We will be back here next year. But
we'll be back here on this
opposition will never give you a solution.
So we'll
if you have none, you prepare to go home. It's that simple.
All right.
If you have no solution, prepare to go home.
Senator Okongo Omogeni, you're at Senate Council, and also the Senator of Nyamira, thank you for coming through this evening. And also the chair of the CIOC, that is the Constitutional Implementation Oversight Committee at the National Assembly, and the Member of Parliament in Nandi Hills. This is Bernard Kito. Thank you for coming through. What a cogent discussion we've had so far. Makalimulu was a no-show today. I don't know why. This is unlike him.
The price of fuel.
The price of fuel. All right, thank you very much for your valued company. You've been watching TV47 Prime here, interview with our panelists, and we do thank you for your valued company. Sleep easy.